Yeah. So excited to be here as usual. What's up, y'all? I got a quick one for y'all today. Because I have something that I'm going to go to in a little bit. Your girl is a little sick, so please pardon me. But hi, y'all. I am excited to bring forth something that I see that's super common. So this is for you if you are determined to find an HR role and you are struggling, right? This is for you. If your resume is getting the rejections, and or you're getting to the final rounds and you're just not making it, and something that you keep being kind of like the second runner up. This is also for you because I see this theme where a lot of what's happening on your resume is determining if you get past the AI, if you get past the recruiters, if you get past to the final rounds, or even if you get an offer, right? It kind of like starts the whole kind of thread. And a lot of you want to make sure that you are matching the job description and that you are standing out as the candidate, the number one candidate. And I know that it's frustrating when you don't, or you become the second runner up. And so when I see people kind of stuck in this loop, a lot of times it's not the resume for some people, but a lot of times it is. And so if there's this disconnect there, it's because you're literally doing this one thing that you're doing on your resume. You're not following this one rule. And so a lot of you be like, okay, I'm gonna match the job description. So either you're like matching every single role that you apply to the job description, or you have gone through and you've done your best and you've tweaked it. You tweaked a little bit of here, but then a lot of you are like, I don't even know what my resume be saying no more. I don't even know. I have no idea. Or for the people that have hired a resume writer, right? Maybe you hired a resume writer and you're like, I think it matches the job description, and maybe you tweak it a little bit, or you put it in AI, you put it in ChatGPT so it can match, but you're seeing that that's not working, right? If you're seeing that that's not working, this is the live for you. So, I have a wonderful client. I'm just really going to be sharing her story because I have a wonderful client, and we have a full podcast episode that will be posted probably in the next couple of hours, where you can hear her full story, her full background, everything. But she was unfortunately impacted by a round of layoffs. All of her L&D team was let go, and she really wanted to find something new. And so, like most people, right, it's just like, okay, how do I match myself to the job descriptions? How do I, make sure I land an L&D role? She only been in L&D for about 3 years, and most of her background was 20 plus years in higher ed, right? So, always thinking about like, I don't have that exact experience. I don't have, articulate like experience. I don't have any of those like things that are on the job description. And so, yeah, that's like, how do I match? And so, how I think about resumes and my process when I help clients is I on our first session we're doing your resume. We're going through your resume and we're completing it in the first session together, making sure that you have the best examples and everything, and that we do leverage the job descriptions a little bit, but probably different than how you have been or how you've been taught to do it. I don't use AI. I don't I don't do any of that. What I do is, okay, I say, okay, if you want to focus on an L&D role like she did, I know what the L&D overall responsibilities are. Cool. So I'll keep that in my mind. So understanding those responsibilities. And then I focus on what are her actual wins and accomplishments, whether they're L&D or not. So here's what happens. Y'all see the job description and y'all like, okay, I'm just going to give you an example. You read stuff like, um, I'm putting up an L&D job description, a consultant learning business partner job description, develop learning strategy and contribute to business reviews with senior business leaders. So you probably will write something like that. Developed learning strategy and contributed to the business by partnering with senior leadership, right? Support delivery strategy, including facilitation, right? And all these are like one-liner things. And this is literally how y'all resumes look. Um, what else? Mainly know how to strong partnerships with instructional design team, right? This is literally from job description. And when I look at kind of her old resume, this is a lot of what she had: assist with X, Y, and Z, assist with, develop strong relationships with, right? Literally, she was matching the job description to her resume. Let's see, what else does she have here? Going up a little bit. So yeah, okay, where to go? No, it's a different one. Led into in logistics. Um, develop targeted performance insights and employee observations to directors. And I know a lot of y'all may be like, okay, well, I add a little flair or add a little bit more extra information. Like that one probably is like a little bit, it's not direct. So a lot of you think like, oh, I'm adding a little bit more numbers, or I'm adding productivity in, or I'm adding in an engagement survey number, right? So I'm not matching direct, but you still are, right? Like you still are bringing that energy to it, which is like, okay, deliver targeted performance insights and employee observations to directors, supervisors, informing strategic decisions, enhancing coaching conversations, and identify opportunities for workforce development. So this is what I call when y'all are matching to the job description, or like slightly like adding just a little flair, but going off the job description to create your bullets, or you're using AI to create the bullets, because that's usually what AI does, right? It's data in and data out, right? Um, is that you create your resume based on what I call 80%. So I use the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your job is usually stuff like this. I like very task oriented. And that's what the job description is meant to be. It's meant to tell us from a legal perspective, what is the scope of somebody's role and what are those tasks, and to list those tasks out. And so y'all are going based on this 80%, but that's actually not what gets you hired. So what is on the job description is typically not what gets you hired. It's the stuff that's not on there. It's probably the stuff, the 20%. So I try to go into the 20% with my clients, and I say to them, okay, tell me about your biggest accomplishment. Let's talk about that, right? So I ask them a series of questions to get to the root of what are their top experiences, and that 20% that that manager actually care about. Now, a lot of people say, well, yeah, my biggest project was X, Y, or Z, but like honestly, my manager did most of the work. And I'm like, well, first off, usually that's not true. Usually it's probably 50-50 that you all worked on a project, or you did more of the work. So that's one thing. So if you've done a significant amount of work on a project, why can't you talk about that? Right? Or you're like, oh well, but my leader did all the employee relations decision making. Okay, great. But did you help conduct the investigations? Did you do X, Y, and Z? So you all are just not giving yourself credit for that top level work that you've done. So I go by the 20%. Sometimes are the things that you stepped in for your manager and did it, and you're like, but I only did it one time. What managers care about most of the time is the highest level scope of work, the biggest levels of responsibility. And no, I do not advocate for lying or misrepresenting or saying that you didn't do something that you did, but a lot of you are going on the way opposite end and giving yourself zero credit for the things that you actually worked on. And part of that is like, especially because I work with a lot of women of color, I work with a lot of Black women, there's a lot of humility towards it. Some of it's just not knowing exactly what to say, or how to say it without it sounding fluffy or like a lie, right? And so it's normal not to have that language. You're not somebody who does resumes all the time, so it's going to be a little bit harder for you, right? Or especially if you've only have a few years as an HR generalist, or as an HR VP, and you want to go up, like you don't know exactly exact language that maybe they would be thinking about or considering. And so that's why you are using the JD, the job description, as kind of your crutch. That makes sense. You're trying to match it to something that you don't yet have the language for. It's like a toddler trying to speak, trying to do a college essay, right? Like it's literally like just a bridge that is missing, right? There's a bridge that's kind of missing there. But you do have to focus on that 20%. The 20% of what you've done in your career, the milestones. That's why on my resume template, right? I love that one of the areas that we have on there is like career milestones, because you should be highlighting the milestones. To me, are the things where it's like you wowed someone, or you streamlined something incredible, or you were the first person to do X, or you got an award for something, right? A lot of you leave those off. You've been a board member. And some of the stuff is outside of work, right? Where you give your time, you give your energy, you've changed some amazing things, right? Let's see. So I do want to give you an example, just one more example to kind of bring it home. So I gave you the job description. I also gave you kind of like how she was doing it and thinking about it before. And then just to give you an idea, like again, I don't even think about the job description. I just think about the role itself, and having had experience across all parts of HR, I know what they are looking for. So I keep that in mind, but I really mostly focus on mostly 90% when I'm asking the question, I'm really focusing on what you did. So I want you to think about that, and think about it as like, okay, well, if I was sharing the story, and if I'm really proud of this story and what I did and what I accomplished, what would I share? What would I be sharing about this? And so one of the stories she was really proud of was some of her global talent development. And we talked about how she increased production by virtually training two vendor teams, about 42 employees located in Cape Town, Africa, and Pune, India, to support US based operations via phone and chat for business insurance, overcoming lack of systems and curriculum design. Okay. None of that is on the job description. Zero, zippo, right? But it was about telling the story. And that's why this resume got her an interview that she then is now accepted an offer for, right? So a lot of you are worried about getting past AI by leveraging AI, or matching, and like not feeling like you're like, oh, but I got all the experience and I'm matching it exactly to the job description. That's why. That's why you're not getting past AI, because y'all forget how smart AI is. AI is looking for something a little bit more sophisticated, right? They're looking for that college essay, and y'all are giving not, not that. Y'all are not giving that. And on top of that, you'll also forget that real humans do eventually look at the resume. And so they're going to see if you're matching word for word, if you have one-liners. Again, they're not expecting to reread the job description. They're expecting to read your highlight reel of what you're bringing to the table. They're expecting to see that 20%. They're not expecting to see the 80%, which is what the job description reflects. All right. I told y'all I was quick. That's what I got for y'all. I break down exactly how to write bullet points with real examples like this. I actually break down the examples and how to actually get here at my masterclass. I only teach this 3 times a year. It's next week, next Wednesday. You'll want to sign up. It's completely free. Thanks for bearing with me, y'all. I'm definitely getting sick, but I hope to see you there. It is completely free, and I will drop the link. If you want a resume that actually lands interviews, that can get you interviews in a week. I've had clients that have gotten interviews in 4 days. I've got clients that have gotten interviews in 3 days. I've had clients that have gotten 13 interviews from using the same resume technique. 20 interviews from getting this resume technique. Like, I've really mastered it for the people who want to pivot into different industries. If you're already an HR director, but you want to go to another industry and you keep getting stonewalled, if you feel pigeonholed in recruiting and you want to go to another area, if you've been in HR operations and you're like, get me out of here, right? If you want to pivot out of HR, this works too, right? I've helped project managers, salespeople, chemical engineers, right? This works for anyone that's trying to pivot and you want to tell your story in a way that's resonating with managers in 2026. All right, y'all. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope to see you next week. Also, check out the HR Pivot the HR Pivot podcast if you want to hear more Tamika's story, and you should see it posted later today. All right, y'all. Bye.